On a regular basis, we hear from people thanking us for our videos, a new series that demolishes the misinformation and deceptive tactics of Rabbi Tovia Singer. I've gone out of my way to say that I've dealt with counter-missionary rabbis for years that I hold in high regard, men that I consider to be men of integrity, men seeking to be honest and not deceptive in what they put forward. And then there is Rabbi Singer in another category. And I'm happy to back up every word, every syllable that I'm saying with fact, with information. All right. All I'm giving you is facts and telling you the truth. So his videos have gotten out, especially attacking the faith of born-again Christians, Gentile Christians. People are not Jews, because originally counter-missionaries, the focus was a Jewish person believes in Jesus, a Jewish person is converted to Islam, a Jewish person is a Buddhist. How can they bring him back to Jewish tradition? That's what they were doing. Tovia Singer has attacked the faith of Gentile Christians quite aggressively. They haven't been prepared for this as we are as Jewish believers. They don't know the resources that are out there. They don't know for all of the, if you want to call it a venom, the misinformation, the false things they're being told, that there is an anti-venom. There are solutions, there are answers, there are biblically based, sound, truthful answers, not aware. So some fall away. And of course, thankfully, the number of people coming to the faith around the world massively dwarfs the number of those falling away. I mean, massively, massively. I'll put that together in video form one day, in article form. But I still grieve over those who are deceived, who are pulled away, who are misled, who are misinformed. So we've been putting out this video series, and today we're going to focus on something really interesting. In fact, when I saw the video, I was, what in the world? Because people send me links. I don't follow the channel or watch all the videos that are being put out, but people send me links. Dr. Brown, could you deal with this? Or what about this? Or if we're going to talk about it, put out a new video, I'll look to see which ones seem to be getting the greatest attention, which ones have the most misleading information. And we'll do that so that we can give you tools. My goal is to give you tools so that you can separate fact from fiction, so you can see the difference between light and darkness, so you can know what's truth and what is not truth. That's my goal. And then you can dig and you can study and you can see things for yourself. So this particular video, I don't remember how I came across it. Could have come up on my feed on YouTube, but I thought, where is this coming? What? Seriously? So we're going to take a look at this video. The video we're going to focus on today features Rabbi Singer in Israel, and he's painting a very, very dangerous, nefarious picture, as if it's almost something new. So let's listen to what he says.
Imagine this. That's a Korean Messianic congregation right here in the center of Jerusalem. They came from the Far East to the Middle East to bring the Jewish people to know more about Jesus, but in a Jewish way. That's not the only Messianic congregation here. Right up the street, you got King of Kings, another Messianic congregation that's there to bring the message of Jesus to the Jewish people, but in a Jewish way.
Oh, okay. So first thing, this is the crime. This is the bad thing, that people are bringing the message of Jesus, the Jewish Messiah, who was born King of the Jews, who died King of the Jews, who lived his life in Israel as a Torah-observant Jew, who presented himself as the Messiah of Israel, who died as the Messiah of Israel, who rose from the dead as the Messiah of Israel. All of his followers were Jews who followed him as the Messiah of Israel. So this is now some crime to be in Israel, telling the Jewish people to follow the one that we believe is the Jewish Messiah. The other thing is, there are actually several hundred Messianic congregations all over Israel. There have been scores and scores and scores of congregations for years and years and years and years. Some of them are exclusively Hebrew-speaking. Some are exclusively Russian-speaking. Some are English-speaking. And they are there. Some are very small, little groups. Some may have 50 people. Some may have 100 or more. And do you think a Jewish person looking at a bunch of Koreans singing songs there is going to think, oh, I wonder, are they Orthodox Jew? No, there's no deception. They are Korean Christians who love Israel, who want to bless Israel, and who want to share the good news of the Messiah, of Israel with their people. And mainly it's going to be other Korean Christians joining together who love Israel. That's the reality. As for King of Kings, by the way, King of Kings is multinational. King of Kings is Gentile Christians and Israeli Jews believing in Jesus, all coming together. One of the things is to say, as Jew and Gentile, we come together. This is part of their mission statement. You can read it on their website. It's not like they're saying, oh, we are all ultra-Orthodox Jews posing as secretly and we believe in Jesus. No. It is a congregation that loves the Jewish people, that loves the nations. They said their mission is also to the Arabs, to the nations. But of course, it's going to be portrayed here as if it's this nefarious, deceptive. There's no deception about it. They're open as to who they are, as to what they believe. Just walk in the door and you'll know that within seconds. But Rabbi Singer can't tell you that. Why? We'll get to the punchline in a little while. All right, the video continues. Let's listen.
They believe that the Jewish people have to first be converted to Christianity in order to enable Jesus to return. And that's why they've come here, to evangelize these people, the young, the old, those who are most vulnerable to a message of the Messianic missionary movement. But they do it in a special way. They blur the distinctions between Judaism and Christianity in order to lure Jews who would otherwise resist a straightforward Christian message. This is very troubling to Jewish communities, not only in the Holy Land, but around the world.
All right. First, Christians believe that the gospel has to go to the whole world for Jesus to return, that this gospel will be preached to the whole world. So why do you think there are missionaries all around the world? The vast majority, 99.99% of missionaries all over the world are not in Israel. They're sharing the gospel with people all around the world, with Muslims, with Hindus, with atheists, with Buddhists, with everybody. And we're not going to withhold it from our own people when we believe he's the Messiah, right? The Messiah of Israel. We share the gospel with Jewish people. When I share the gospel with a Jewish person, it's because I love that person. And I want him to know God the way I know him and experience forgiveness of sins and new life the way I have and find a deeper Jewish identity in Jesus Yeshua. And in doing so, just like with sharing with a Gentile, we are hopefully hastening the return of the Lord. But this is not that we're just going to target the Jews because that's going to bring back the Messiah. And this idea, the old, the vulnerable. Come on, Rabbi Singer. We are sharing with everybody. We are sharing in Israel. It has to be over a certain age before you can proselytize. We fully understand that, live by that. But we're sharing with everyone we can. And should we leave an old poor person alone? Should we leave a 19-year-old that's impressionable? Should we leave that person alone? Should we only speak to a 40-year-old ultra-Orthodox rabbi who's going to be most resistant? No, we share with everybody. But when we try to reach out to the ultra-Orthodox, we're accused of trying to infiltrate. When we try to reach these people, you're trying to destroy our lifestyle. No, we try to share the good news with everyone because we love everyone. And that's why, to say it again, 99.99% of missionary activity is outside of Israel, taking place around the world, because we want the whole world to hear the good news about Jesus, the Messiah of Israel, and the Savior of the world. Now, here is where it gets really interesting. And this is when I started to think, why is Rabbi Singer doing this? All right, let's listen.
A training manual on how to convert Jews to Christianity. I'm not kidding. Take a look at this. A training manual on how to share the Messiah with a Jew. Look at the letters. Those are Hebrew shapes forming the English letters.
So let's take a look. I want to put up a screenshot for those who are watching, a close-up of this manual, okay? When you look at it, it says by Manny Brotman, President, the Messianic Jewish Movement International. All right. Manny Brotman went to be with the Lord many, many years ago. Manny Brotman probably put out that manual in the 1970s, okay? And it was helping your average Christian understand how to speak to a Jewish person. Let's put something else. Rabbi Singer has this on his video, so we'll put up a screenshot for those watching. Messianic Soul Winners Card. But let's leave that up for a little while. The idea this is there's new. First thing, this is probably 50 years old, certainly over 40 years old. And the reason you want to say Messiah Yeshua or Yeshua the Messiah is because when you say Jesus Christ to many Jewish people, they're not thinking of the same person. If I'm talking to an ultra-Orthodox Jew And I mentioned the one they know as Yeshu. They think he's some sorcerer. They think that he's one that led Israel astray. They think there's a straight line from him to the Holocaust, all right? When you use certain terms, when you talk about the cross of Christ, all right, that means certain things to certain people, or the image of the cross, right? The message of the Messiah's sacrificial death we preach without shame, but the image of the cross, that can be very negative. Someone thinks of crusades. They think of inquisitions. We've got nothing to do with that. That's not who we are. And our goal is not to, quote, get a Jew to convert to Christianity. Our goal is to get a Jew to embrace Jesus as Messiah. Many of my Jewish friends who did that had no Jewish identity before, and now they've moved to Israel. They've lived there for decades. Their kids serve in the IDF. They are Israeli citizens. Why? Because as Jews, they felt now called because Jesus brought them to a deeper Jewish identity. Many of my friends were totally secular. Now they build a sukkah in celebration of tabernacles. Why? Because Jesus deepened their Jewish identity. But when we do that, we're called deceptive for doing it. So which way is it? Do you want Jews to live as Jews, Rabbi Singer, which is what we're saying, but as Jews who follow the Messiah? So here's what I find really interesting. When a Jewish person turns to Jesus the Messiah, finds a deeper Jewish identity, a deeper connection to his or her people, a deeper connection to the land and people of Israel, and even in a new covenant fashion, wants to enjoy the Sabbath blessings that God has given, wants to celebrate the biblical calendar, but in the fullness of the Messiah. When they do that, you're deceivers. Rabbi Singer would say you're deceivers. You're just trying to put on Jewish garments and look a certain way. You're deceivers. If a Jewish person joins a church, right, and just says, hey, I love Jesus Christ, I'm in this church, and they kind of lose their Jewish identity, Rabbi Singer says, you see, they just converted to Christianity. So you're kind of damned if you do or damned if you don't in his viewpoint. The fact is, the reason that we are careful to use certain terms is so that we communicate clearly, so people understand what we're talking about. If you're an evangelist and you're having a gospel crusade, that may work in some countries or some parts of America, but you don't use that word if you're in the Muslim world or the Jewish world because the term crusade is offensive. Look, the political slogan, MAGA, Make America Great Again, that meant one thing to white Americans and another thing to black Americans or Native Americans, the same words, but they have different connotation to different people. So you need to explain what you mean when you say something. This is not to deceive someone, to get them to drink something unhealthy by telling them it's healthy. Rather, it's to get them to drink something unhealthy that they have unhealthy associations with because of bad church history or because of misinformation. This is a matter of getting truth out accurately. And why is Rabbi Singer showing something that written by Manny Brotman, who passed away in 1999? Why not show 5 volumes that I wrote on answering Jewish objections to Jesus and say they're very serious resources that are out there that are helping people understand the issues? I'm watching this thinking, there's got to be some kind of agenda here. Something just is not lining up. All right, let me put up one more screenshot for you. Rabbi Singer holds this up. It's the New Testament, and it's in Hebrew and in Yiddish. How deceptive, how terrible. Our friends, around the world, the Bible is translated into the language of the people. Ultra-Orthodox Jews, Yiddish is often the first language, so you translate it into Yiddish. And because the disciples were all Jews, and they thought in Jewish ways, and the teachings of Jesus were originally given in Hebrew or Aramaic, it's all the more appropriate for a New Testament to be translated into Hebrew. Some of the writings originally might have been in Hebrew or in Aramaic, but all of it came from that part of the world where people thought in that way and where people could read and understand Hebrew or spoke Aramaic. So it's perfectly appropriate to have a Hebrew New Testament, and it's perfectly appropriate to have it in Yiddish to reach Jewish people. What do you expect people to do? Here, you come to faith in Israel. You're an Israeli Jew. You're a Sabra. You're born and raised in Israel. Maybe you come from a secular home. Hebrew is your first language. You come to faith in Jesus. You join a congregation where they sing in Hebrew, where you read the New Testament in Hebrew, where you celebrate the biblical calendar, but with an emphasis on the coming of the Messiah. What's wrong with, where is their deception? Where's there some terrible, nefarious thing going on? So I'm thinking, why on earth would Rabbi Singer be making such a weak presentation and trying to, this terrible thing is going on and you need to know about it. Using material that's like 50 years old. Why? Well, let's listen to one more part of the video and we'll find out why.
As the new year is coming, as Rosh Hashanah is approaching, would you consider giving from what God has given you so that our work can continue, so that Jewish people who are lost there can come back to our heritage, to our faith?
It's a fundraising video, of course, because he's got other videos where he's saying so many Christians are leaving the faith and we're seeing so much success and Jews are having their eyes open. And so why the scare tactic video, which is, so poor material, like 40, 50 years old, as if it's this new thing, and presenting something, just giving people wisdom as to how to share the message of the Jewish Messiah with Jewish people in a way that's meaningful, that they can understand. It's called cultural sensitivity. We all do it in our communication. You travel around the world, you do it, you understand. This word means this in this culture, this in that culture. So let us communicate in a way that people understand. Let us use words that they understand, not to deceive, but to convey the truth. He's doing it to raise funds. Look, I will raise funds to counter his deception. I will raise funds to help support our missionaries serving the poor and the hurting around the world. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing without creating some whole false scenario. But I watched this, I thought, why in the world put out a video like this with such bad examples and such old material and try to paint it in such a way to create fear? Because he's raising money. Better to just say, around the world, Jewish people continue to come to Jesus. And there are sophisticated resources out there from many different Messianic Jewish leaders. And there are those who are willing to debate the issues publicly. And around the world, the message of the Jewish roots of the faith is spreading through the whole church in a very powerful way. And that concerns me. And then he goes on and raises his money. But no, it's got to be the old fear tactics. It's a bit worn out, Rabbi Singer. It really is. When I came to faith in Jesus, Yeshua, I was just 16 years old. I knew very little Hebrew, very little of the Bible. Immediately, my dad asked me to talk to the local rabbi, who was a brilliant man. He introduced me to other rabbis. Before you know it, I'm talking to ultra-Orthodox rabbis that have been studying Hebrew all their lives, and I barely even know the alphabet. And they threw so many questions at me. I was determined, I just need to know the truth. As a Jew, I want to be obedient to God and honor God. If I'm wrong about this faith in Jesus thing, then I'll abandon it. And if I'm right, I don't care if the Jewish community rejects me. I have to be obedient to God as a Jew, as a son. But the more I studied, the more I dug, even got a PhD in Near Eastern languages and literatures at New York University, and spent hundreds, probably thousands of hours interacting with counter-missionaries and rabbis and other religious Jews and Jews who didn't believe. The more I studied, the clearer it was Jesus, Yeshua, is the Messiah of Israel and the Savior of the world. And what I wanted to do was be in a position to help you in your questions, your studies, your wondering. So we put together 5 volumes. I worked on these for years. 5 volumes, each of them tackling different areas. Volume 1 of Answering Jewish Objections to Jesus deals with general and historical objections. Volume 2, theological objections. Volume 3, Messianic prophecy objections. Volume 4, objections based on the New Testament. Volume 5, objections based on rabbinic tradition. You'll find comprehensive answers to so many questions that have come your way. And the more you study, the more you'll see Jesus, Yeshua, is the Messiah of Israel.